So hello, I'm Tomasz Adamski. I work in Red Hat. I work as a software developer in the WildFly EAP team, mainly in IIOP and HB areas. And the topic of this talk is what's new in WildFly. I would like to discuss the new features that we have introduced in the latest releases of WildFly, just to give you an overview what we are doing and in what way the development of the server is going. But to start with, I would like to put it into context. I would like to say a few words about the project itself. As you all probably know, WildFly derives from JBoss application server. It has roots with JBoss codebase. This is not the only project in Red Hat that roots from JBoss AS. We have another project. It's called JBoss EAP. So we have two JBoss projects which are related but serve different purposes. So I will say a few words about it. JBoss EAP is our product. And WildFly is community edition of the project. The relation between the two projects is that WildFly is upstream to JBoss EAP, but these two projects serve different purposes. Whereas the goal of JBoss EAP is to create a product which will be available to run in production, robust product, well tested. In WildFly, we are aiming at innovation. So what we are doing in WildFly is we are trying to implement the new features with quick releases, all the invention that is needed by our community, and do it at a quick pace. So basically, WildFly is a research R&D project, and only after the features that are added to WildFly are accepted by our community, are checked that they work correctly, they are approved. Then we merge them to JBoss EAP to make sure that they are ready for stable operation in production. So when you are looking for cutting-edge stuff, you want to do some prototyping, look at the newest technologies, you should look at WildFly. And just as a quick remark, for a moment we have two JBosses. There was JBoss AS and JBoss EAP. So two products with this very similar name. To avoid that, and also to clearly separate two projects, Community Edition and the product, we have changed the name to WildFly. So I said the WildFly is community project. What we mean by that we highly value all feedback from the community. So you can obviously always go to our forums, ask us something. We developers sit there, so you often get the answer from the first hand. But it's not only that. All the discussions, all the technologies that are designed, the technologies that we'll be talking about in a few minutes included, are designed in public in our user groups. Everything is open. So if you want to look how something is designed, you can get to our user groups, learn, read, learn, and of course it doesn't have to be like passive. You don't have to be passive there. You can always write something if you are working with some technology, you want to add something, you think that something should be designed differently. We are open. We highly value every contribution, every reasonable feedback. So yeah, you can take part in design of WildFly too. Obviously, as everything in Red Hat, WildFly is open source project. So all the code is open. You can, with all obvious benefits of that, you can read the code, learn the code. Obviously, if you only want to, you can also contribute to WildFly. Again, we highly value every contribution. So that's the project. The characteristics of the project WildFly. Before I get to example, I would like to say a few words about about its architecture, because WildFly has been before the name change in JBoss AS 7 has been refactored. The core of WildFly has been refactored. We are providing our core on which we are building WildFly. So WildFly in its full distribution is fully E7 compliant application server, but it can be easily extended, and now we are going also into different direction. It can be easily trimmed down, so you can create your own distribution quite easily of WildFly, which will contain only those parts of application server that are needed in your use case. I will be showing this on one example in just a moment. And also, I would like to say a few words about the core. What has been done to when it was refactored. We have introduced our own way of class loading. Now we have a modular class loading, which the classes are loaded from our class loading entity is a module now, and classes are loaded not in hierarchical way, they are loaded in graph way. So each module has its own jars, the part of the code, and it can only load classes from modules that it directly specifies. As a result, we are achieving something similar to encapsulation in object-oriented programming. When we are looking at a module, we know precisely what classes can he reach. And this has the benefits that we have like clear class loading domain as the different parts of code are separated. You can achieve many things with that. For example, you can have in different applications different versions of some libraries. That's the first thing. Also, it has benefits related to performance, as each class loader can see in constant time which classes it loads. So because of that, we are able to in constant time resolve a given class. Also, we are able to take advantage of concurrency, as many class loaders can load class concurrently. So that's the first thing. Another thing is the server is. I wouldn't be going into details here. The server is composed of group of services, basically startable and stoppable objects, which can have relationships between them. We also take advantage of concurrency there, yeah. And so why I'm saying this, because when you look at the results of WildFly before the refactor, so JBoss before AS 7, and after that, you see that its performance has been dramatically improved. Here, and probably the most interesting thing is on the right side, when you see when the WildFly is in default configuration. Before the refactor, it took about 19 seconds to start. Now it's like 2 seconds. So when you are using it has another time its obvious benefits. When you are using WildFly, it's for example in development, it's very easy. So if you want to run a test, you don't have to mock anything. You can actually start the server, as the test will take about the whole test can take about 2 or 3 seconds to finish. Yeah. So, and also when we look at memory comparison, we can see the same. Memory has been dramatically reduced. So I wanted to show it. Just to let you know that hopefully the name was chosen. The name is appropriate. After refactor we are really very fast, and lightweight. Furthermore, server is, as I said a few moments ago, is highly configurable. You can trim it down. I will be talking about this just in a moment. And just to say a few more words about core, because I will be referring to this from the examples. A part of the layer of services and class loading, which has the biggest impact on the performance, we are providing also the management tools. We are providing this is our own the typed management model, which is somewhere similar to LDAP. but this is the API that can be connected from many different places. You can use client console, you can use command line tools, you can use REST API, your own tools. What is important is we also provide a part of standalone model. We provide a domain model in which you can manage the domain. By domain, I understand the group of servers from one place can be managed from management tool. At the same time, the group of servers. So this is the core from the bird's eye view, and WildFly. And now let's move to the actual new features that were just implemented. Well, first of all, I would say a word about the way this presentation. Because of time, I will be giving about each of these features. I will try to describe the most important stuff about it. If you are interested in it in greater detail, you can either ask me later about the presentation, or you can go to our documentation, where when each of those features is very well documented, you can look at specific use cases and in detail what can be provided. Yeah, so let's start. I would like to start with to warm up. I would like to start with website tools, very practical ones that were just introduced. First is Undertow.js. What we are providing with Undertow.js is an ability to deploy part of your application as JavaScript. So how does it work from and what's important there? You can do it interactively because of hot reload feature that I will describe in a few seconds. How it works from configuration point of view. From configuration point of view, you just add JavaScript script file to your var, tell the var where it is located, and during the deployment, you also can tell your operating system when it is located. The code reload function that is configured in this way will work in the following way. When you deploy the application and make changes to the file in JavaScript, the changes will be immediately visible in your deployed application. So as a result of that, you can develop your JavaScript interactively and see the results on a server without redeploying them. So the main idea behind this tool was to allow you to develop part of your web application as a JavaScript, but when you consider it convenient, but easily integrate with Java EE functions when it's necessary. So you can I would say how, from technical point of view, how it works. Our web server, Undertow, it handles the request as a chain of handlers which do different things during server processing, routing included. So what you are able to do is add a handler which is written in JavaScript. This handler is basically a JavaScript function which will be run if the name of the file matches the filter that was specified in this function, and you will be delegated to this function. So basically you will be delegated to JavaScript code when you can do everything regarding everything in JavaScript. Regarding integration with Java EE, basically we are providing dependency injection, so you can inject all the CDI beans, you can inject things from JNDI. So for example, when you inject CDI bean, you will get a JavaScript wrapper to the bean. So the same with AGB. We also support declarative security, interceptors. For example, if you want to run transaction in the code, you can you can write your own transaction interceptor to which you will inject user transaction from JNDI and start and stop the transaction. That's an example, but we are also working on declarative transaction support. So as you see, you are able to develop a JavaScript code. You are delegated to JavaScript code from undertow. But whenever you decide that you have to switch from this from the script to more heavy Java EE stuff, you can do it very easily, as all such support is provided. This is essentially a new feature. It's highly experimental. It may change a lot. It was just introduced in the newest release, in 10th release. So if you would like to use it, and have some feedback about it, want to change something in it, we're waiting for such feedback, as it can still change very much based on what users will want to have in it. So that's the first thing. Another thing that I would like to talk about is HTTP2. Basically, you will probably know there is a new HTTP protocol, and just to say a few words about it, you are basically able to achieve the improvement in page load time in a transparent way. By transparent way, I mean that the protocol makes no changes to, obviously, neither network infrastructure, so it obviously runs on TCP. But what's more important, it doesn't change the protocol semantics, so the messages for the user, for the application developers are the same. Web content stays the same. What only was changed is how the messages are moved between client and the server. Just to say it in a few words, till now in HTTP it was clear text protocol that basically opened one TCP connection per one request. This is problematic from many ways. When you want to have concurrency, you have to open many TCP connections. It has its own problems. Apart of more resources connected with opening many connections, you can block bandwidth of other better behaving applications. That's the first thing. You don't have header compression. So there were a lot of small stuff that rooted from the old design of the protocol. Now it has changed. HTTP2 is essentially a binary protocol which encodes requests binarily and enables to and opens only one TCP connection, can send many requests interleaved in that connection, compress headers. So essentially, it's a new HTTP protocol which transparently to user can reduce your page load time in a big way. So yeah, you can easily improve your performance by upgrading to it. As I said, it's transparent to web developer, to users, but it's not transparent yet to server administrator because of two facts. First fact is that it requires secured connections. It's nothing special. You have to configure security in standard way as you do it in WildFly. The reason behind it is that although HTTP2 specification doesn't require secured connections, most major browser providers have decided to allow only HTTP2 with TLS because they wanted to push using secured connection as a good practice. Anyway, if you want to have HTTP2, you have to configure TLS connections in standard way, which is well described. There's also one thing that will disappear. You have to install ALP and jar. This is a very technical issue that nobody should care about, but for some time, still you have to care about it, as this is basically application layer protocol negotiation, the part of the protocol. The problem is that it's not present yet in Java 8. It will be present in Java 9. till now you have to add such jar to your virtual machine that is executing Wi-Fi server. But as I said, it's very well described in our documentation. It's just one line of code of configuration that you have to do, and you will be able to use HTTP2 in Wi-Fi with Wi-Fi and achieve, as I said, quite transparently the reduction of the improvement in page load time performance. Okay, there were two like practical stuff. Now more like architectural stuff. We have splitted the code base of Wi-Fi. We have divided Wi-Fi into two projects. This is important to show you in what way the development of Wi-Fi is going. Because we have moved the core that I was talking about at the beginning of the presentation. We have moved the core as a separate project. All the subsystem, the core is essentially bare. It provides only a runtime on which servers can be built, and the subsystems that can be added on top of core are moved to different projects. What we have also done is provided tools that we are using, but also users can use, that enable you to build your own distribution of WildFly on top of the core. I will give you a quick overview of those tools in a moment, but before that I just wanted to say we have introduced a new distribution using those tools, and you can see immediately how it works. We add undertow and open and naming subsystems on top of core, and essentially we are obtaining a web server. So Wi-Fi Web is essentially a web server, but it's worth mentioning that it has all features provided by core. So it has our own task loading, very efficient services layer, our feature-rich management tools. So all this stuff you are getting with the core, and we are just adding two subsystems on top of core to provide it. We are obviously a part of Wi-Fi Web. We are providing Wi-Fi Full, which contains all subsystems. But you can create your own distribution. We'll need it. I will describe an example of it in just a second. Just a few words about the tools that I was talking about. I won't be getting into details here, as it requires technical stuff inside Wi-Fi. So I will just describe it, the main ideas behind it. There is a feature pack concept. Feature packs is essentially a jar describing part of server functionality. So in feature pack you described what parts of server, the parts of server code. Example of feature pack may be web feature pack. The information in the web feature pack will be that it contains all the code in undertow and naming subsystems. That's the feature pack, but it's only configuration. It's not the code yet. Feature pack can depend on other feature packs. For example, the web feature pack that I was talking about a moment ago will depend on core feature packs, as it obviously needs a core functionality because it's built on top of the core. Now, as I said, this is only the configuration. It's built by our Maven plugin. What I mean by build? During build, this configuration is checked. And for example, what is checked is that we have all the necessary dependencies. What I mean by that? So again, if we have this web feature pack, and it depends on core feature pack, it means that, for example, to be specific, it requires an extension interface, because such interface it has to be implemented so that it can be used in core. But extension interface is located in the core feature pack. So during build, it is checked that all code that is necessary for the feature pack is present, either in feature pack or in its dependencies. Anyway, when the feature pack is built, what we are obtaining is jar. It's a lightweight jar. It contains only configuration, but it contains checked description of part of server functions. Just a second. Okay, and after we have a group of feature packs, we can assemble server from them. To do this, we use a provisioning tool. This is basically a library which takes a group of feature packs and builds a server from them. So from description of the code, it gathers all jars that are described in feature packs and assembles all server from them. The feature pack does not contain only code, it contains also configuration, scripts. All this stuff is gathered together and the server is created. This is provisioning tool, yeah, and the result is a server distribution. And to give you an example how it can be used by our users, let's suppose that you are developing a REST application. Very lightweight, it uses only REST API, nothing more, and you want to deploy it on WildFly. Well, the problem here is that if you need to have a lightweight server, you are unable to use WildFly Web because you are unable to use WildFly Web as it doesn't contain REST. But you would have to use WildFly Full, which contains all other subsystems which you don't need. So what you can do here is create your own feature pack describing REST part of application server. Then you will add this feature pack to core and web feature pack, and we need web feature packs because REST uses servlet APIs. So we will have essentially 3 feature packs. And we can assemble them into a server which will be only a little bigger than web distribution, but it will enable you to deploy your application. It will enable you to deploy your application on it. Okay, this is again a very technical stuff. Just a few words about it. We are providing capabilities. Capabilities describe the functions that provided by a different part of server. Okay, I wouldn't be going into details here again, but I just wanted to say what will be the result of capabilities from the user point of view. Well, first of all, maybe I will give a quick overview. When we are creating application servers, I said it consists of services. The problem was that if we have different services in different subsystems, their references between them were quite tight coupled, as we have to specify the name of the service. So now we are providing capability. So server can provide full, well-known capability. Let's suppose, for example, that we have ORP subsystem, so Corba subsystem. It provides an ORP service. So till now we have to directly inject the ORP reference into ORP service reference to another service. Now we will provide ORP capability, and the service will provide this capability, this well-named capability. The result from user point of view are following, which is most important here, is when you are using WildFly from time to time, you are able to see when something fails, a list of services that failed. And we should be able to eliminate it, as users will be able to verify model in runtime between server is actually started, and you will be able to get clear information that you don't have such capability. Please provide. Please fix this in a configuration. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we should be able to create a server based on capabilities list without the things that I described a few moments ago with feature pack. And another thing that we are working on, is a little different use case than a moment ago, but here we are a little further. It's very easy to use. If you want to create a runnable fat jar from your application with only those parts of WildFly that are necessary for you. So let's suppose that you again have this REST application and want to run it as a service. So you can use WildFly Swarm for it. The changes that you are going to need is you have to add WildFly Swarm plugin to your Maven build path and also specify what part of application server you need. So if we are using REST application, you basically, WildFly Swarm has like fractions of it, it's the name, and you have to specify in your Maven configuration that you depend on REST fraction. That's all. And WildFly Swarm will find out itself what other fractions it needs. Will add only those parts of server to your jar that are necessary to run it, and will create a runnable jar of it. So if you have an application and want to use Swarm to create a service, for example, in microservice scenario from it, you actually need what you need to do is like honestly 5-minute time configuration change, which will result in a WildFly Swarm finding out what parts of application server you need, assembling them into application, and creating a running jar from it. So yeah, it's another case in which we are able to build a lightweight distribution at WildFly, a little bit different than the scenario that I was describing 5 minutes ago. The first one was we are creating still a server to which you can deploy applications. In WildFly Swarm, it's a runnable fat jar scenario, so you are obtaining a runnable jar. And in WildFly Swarm, as I said, we are a little bit further, so you can very easily do it with very little amount of configuration. You can create runnable microservices, again, with only those parts of WildFly that are needed in your use case. Okay, so this was like more technical stuff. Let's move again to practical things. We have introduced server suspend. What server suspend does, it enables the server to be suspended. What it means? It means that during suspend, server is not accepting request. But to understand what's happening there, I have to describe the transition between the running state, so normal server operation, to suspended state. So when server is running and someone performs suspend operation, what happens there is that server immediately stops accepting new requests, but it have to let the requests that were already accepted before to finish. So when server is in running state, we are performing suspend operation. All the requests that were already running are allowed to finish, and the requests that are new are not accepted. This is the suspending phase, as we call it. After suspending phase is finished, so after all requests have been finished, we can also specify a timeout here. The server moves to suspended phase. In suspended phase, server is not accepting new requests. So, what are the use cases? Well, first use case is graceful shutdown. When you want to shut down server without interrupting any request, we have one operation for it, but this one operation consists of two operations. First, server is suspended, and then after suspend operation finishes, when we know that all pending requests were finished, we are we are turning off the server without interrupting any running requests. So that's the first common scenario. The second scenario is when you want to just perform some configuration changes, during which you cannot accept requests. You can also suspend the server, but in this case, it's also worth mentioning that server suspend does not turn the server off. I said that server consists of services. So using this terminology, no services are being stopped. The only thing that happens is that there's a component responsible. The components responsible for accepting requests are not allowed to do it. But because of that, when we resume the server, it can restart immediately. So in scenario when we are shutting down the server for a moment and resuming it, which is possible, it will restart immediately. As server does not go down, no part of server goes down. Only thing that happens is we are not allowing requests to be processed during when server is shut down. Okay, this another thing. Very practical, but just to let you know that it exists. Some subsystems were recently replaced. JBoss Web was replaced by Undertow. JCorp was replaced by OpenJDK. HornetQ was replaced by Artemis. The point is that the configurations have changed. But if you want to migrate your own application to the new WildFly, you can use migrate operations. Migrate operations works they are very well described. So if you would need to use it, there are detailed description of them. But what you do is you go to your old subsystem in management, one of management tools, run migrate operation, and if it's possible to migrate your configuration without any warnings, migrate operation will automatically remove your old subsystem and create a new subsystem in its place with the same functions as the previous one. If it's not possible, it will inform you what has to be changed to let your system function. So again, it's also very practical stuff. But if you need it, it's very useful when you're performing a migration from older applications. Okay, WildFly as a load balancer, another practical stuff. So till now, when you needed load balanced WildFly domain, you have to if you are using Mode Cluster, you have to start Apache, because it was an Apache application. Mode Cluster itself, as you all probably know, it's quite advanced load balancer with such features as dynamic configuration, so dynamic discovery of nodes, server-side load balancing, so there's load balancing information between balancer and the backend servers, the lifecycle communication, so a lot of advanced features. But the thing is that till now, Mode Cluster had to be used on Apache, so we provided ability to run it on WildFly. There's reverse proxy added to Undertow, which enable you to do this, and this may have the following benefits. When you start, you will have your load balancer as a WildFly instance instead of Apache instance. So as a result of that, you are having one more WildFly instance. But as I said at the beginning, if you have domain of WildFlies, they can be easily managed using our management tools from one place. So essentially, you can just add one more server to this domain and manage it as easily as the other ones using the same tools, and don't have another tool that is Apache in your domain. Everything can run on WildFly, and you can also have some performance benefits, as for example, you can use more efficient communication protocol between load balancer and the nodes, such as, for example, HTTP2 that I was talking about a few minutes ago. Another thing is Singleton deployments. This is the feature that existed in previous JBosses. It was removed for some time, but we introduced it again. Basically, it's also a practical thing when you have a domain of servers and have an application. We are talking about application here, not bin, that should be deployed only on one node. Then it can be done. In such scenario, you deploy application. Configuration is also very simple. Only thing that you have to do is add a tag to your application that it's Singleton application. When you deploy it to the domain of servers, it will be automatically moved to only one node, and if domain during the domain operation, the node on which the application was deployed fails, the domain will learn about it. The cluster will learn about. Sorry, I was imprecise here because in fact we have to have clustered domain here, not any domain. We have to have clustered domain, and if we are deploying it on cluster domain, the cluster will learn that one node in the cluster went down, and will deploy the node on one of nodes that are still present. And also you can create your own custom policies. Okay, another practical thing. CLI is our command line interface. You are able to modify WildFly configuration without starting the server. So if you want to perform some configuration changes using our management tool without changing files directly, you can embed WildFly inside CLI. As a result of that, you will be able to configure WildFly in the same way that you are doing when server is running, but without having a running server. So so obviously you can perform, if it's necessary in your scenario, you can now perform server configuration without server being visible. All changes can be made using management tools in easy way without having running server. Okay, and just to let you know, we have changed some libraries. Apache ActiveMQ Artemis, as Hornet Q, our previous messaging library was donated to Apache ActiveMQ project, and all the Hornet community joined to the new message broker. So we have the new message broker. Again, from user point of view, it should be quite transparent. What happens is the performance boost, but from user point of view, it should be transparent as it's messaging implementation. But again, if you need to perform migration from the old subsystem to the new one, you have the migration operations that I was talking about a few moments ago. The same thing with ORP. Also, we changed the ORP implementation to OpenJDK. This is OpenJDK. Basically, it's OpenJDK is the ORP that is implemented in OpenJDK implementation of JVM. We want to, if someone uses ORP, still it often uses ORP that's located in JVM. So to achieve better interoperability with such environments, we have changed the ORP so that it uses the same ORP. So that's another stuff. And again, if you need to perform migration, it can be done very easily with our migration tools. Yeah, and finally, as I said, we have just released the 10th WildFly, but the developments go further. So to give a quick overview, what are the big topics that we are currently working on? Well, we have Elytron. Elytron is our new security framework. Basically, there were a lot of problems with security. We have two different kinds of security that were interchanged. The JAS-based security, the SASL-based security, and also there were some performance problems. The configuration was scattered between different services, so there were a lot of different problems with current security. What is being done currently is security is redone from the scratch. We will be configured using uniform API in one place of the server, and services and subsystems that want to use security will be plugged into uniform way. So yeah, but essentially that's the ground up rewriting, redone of the security, which should happen in newest WildFly. Another interesting thing that we're working, the big thing, is the new AGB client. Currently, if you are configuring AGB, remote AGBs, you have to specify a lot of stuff directly. We are working on automatic bin discovery, which will be able to pluggable automatic discovery. So we'll provide different protocols which will able to discover bins and create all connections for you. So that should simplify remote invocations by a large extent, which may also make it more usable in, for example, cloud environments. So please stay tuned. All these topics will be presented soon. And when the new WildFly is released, which will probably also happen soon. And finally, just the links. So I said that if you want some feedback, if you want to look at our discussions, if you want to give us some feedback, you can join our discussions groups, our forums. So all this stuff is described in the WildFly.org first page. If you want to look at the code, it's in GitHub on WildFly. Our Twitter is WildFly AS. If you're interested in our product, it's another. Also interesting thing is the quick starts, because what we are doing in quick starts, if you need to use some technology, it is described on, it is presented on a short example that shows you precisely how to do specific things. So it's also worth looking at. So I added it also to this list. And finally, if you have some questions for me, you can write me directly on my Red Hat email. It's tadamski@redhat.com. And if you want to look at my Twitter, it's tadamski as written. So that's all. So thank you for joining. I think we have a little time.
Sorry, the question, does the custom distribution of the WildFly based on feature pack you talked about is available for Windows installation?
Yes. Yes. Of course, because whether it's Windows or JavaScript, I'm sorry, whether it's Windows or Linux, it only depends on JVM that you are using. So you can create your own distribution, and you can run the same distribution on Linux and then on Windows. So obviously you can use it everywhere. But we are providing two distributions, web and full. If you want to have your own distribution, you can you have to create it. Actually, the REST distribution that I was talking about, I have already created, so it can be found. I can send if you.
Yes, I'm really interested in it.
Yeah, so if you're interested, you can write to me on the mail or go to me now. So I will show you where it can be found. But yeah, if you have it, if you add something more to it, it can be run or on any environment that normally Wi-Fi runs. So that's it.
Cool. Thank you.
So I understood if I used JBoss server before,
Yeah.
I just need to run some migrate program command, and I can use new WildFly.
Well, that's not precisely, because the configuration changes from at some places. So what I was saying that the recent big subsystems that were changed and that would require bigger effort to migrate manually, where we provided operations for them, so that if you have, like, for example, WildFly, I would say 8, and want to migrate, those subsystems can be migrated very easily, and other subsystems will require no or small changes. But if you have very old JBoss, we cannot make sure that the configurations would stay the same, obviously. So migrate operations are connected only to the 3 subsystems that I was talking about, but those are the big ones, so that those migrate operations should be most helpful.
Thanks.
Okay, so anyone has? Honestly, I guess that most customers are using EAP because it's meant to be used on production. Well, it's not far, especially as JBoss as EAP 7 is going to be introduced just now, just like within a week or 2. So JBoss 7 is essentially equal to the Wi-Fi now, because it's created just now. So it's not far. Actually, 6.4 that is available at the moment is a little back between Wi-Fi. It doesn't have all the new features that I was describing, but JBoss 7 is, as I said, is going to be introduced like just now within a few weeks. It will equal all this, so it's not very far.